Hello fellow FPL managers and welcome to this video looking at Game Week 31, and it is going to be a really tough one for most people because we all know that it's a blank game week coming up, but it's the fact that it's a blank game week with a real low amount of not just teams but FPL quality teams. So if you look at the fixtures, I have been trying to prepare for the last sort of 5 to 10 weeks to make sure I've got, you know, the 3 Liverpool of course, but to have a few Bournemouth and Leicester with the players that I've gone for to kind of back with, slowly brought them into the side. So in this video I'm going to talk about my personal idea for how I'm going to attack Game Week 31, because I think everyone's going to suffer, because most people are going to have, of course we're going to have Liverpool players. I don't think that many's going to have a full Chelsea outfit, but if they did, that's fine. That's 6 players there if you've got that. But the fact that, you know, City and United are going to miss out, and the likes of me and the other people that have got Paul Pogba in really early on, we're not going to sell him for a week when he's got a blank. I know he's got double and blank, but the fact is, we saw, I think I bought him for 7 point something million. Now he's 8.9. I got him at the Cardiff game, which was week 18, so about 7.8 million I think I got him for. I'm not going to get rid of him now. He's worth 9 for 1 week, because that'd be ridiculous, but then you're basically going to get a 0. So I'll look at my team later on, but first, let us have a review of Game Week 30. And personally, the transfers worked out for a change. Both Bournemouth boys, Boric and Fraser, came in for a nice clean sheet and a goal and an assist for Fraser. I had a feeling a lot of people lean towards Brooks, but I just felt that with Wilson coming back, that seems to be when he plays really well, and Wilson did play. Wilson also got a goal and assist in that game, which was pretty good to see. And almost, apart from my defence, Alexander-Arnold letting in 2 goals at home to Burnley was quite a surprise, even though the first one probably should have been disallowed. But Pereira and Wan-Bissaka were really the letdown there. And then the United defeat 2-0 away at Arsenal. They've been so solid. That's a first loss for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But apart from that, my players didn't really just score. They hauled. You can see that I have 5 players in that side that got over 10 points or more, which was good to see. I know Salah was captain, but he still got an assist, so he still did get something from the game. So overall, 77 points, green arrows for the first time in about 4 weeks. I only took a -4 hit, but that was to bring in Boric and Fraser, so obviously mathematically that worked out pretty well. Game week rank of 266,000, but I think that would have been higher if it wouldn't have been for that fantastic Sterling hat-trick. That one was really the one that, if you have a look at all the top scores, they've all got him here, but he got a really fast hat-trick, and I think that's why. Apart from that, it would have been a better week overall, but I'm still pretty happy with it. And then going on to my team, so I was saying a lot of people are going to be suffering this week, and I've been trying to prepare, and you can see that I only have 1 person. So obviously Solanke will come in for Paul Pogba here, and then technically I do have 11 players. But Solanke might play. He has been getting minutes for Bournemouth. You can see 25 minutes in the last game. He had an injury for the Arsenal City game, which is fine, but he had 90 minutes against Wolves. So if he can just come on the pitch for 1 point, it is obviously better than having 0. So then I'll be having 11 players. So first, the tactics part. For me, the key one to do would be free hit, because this is the week where everyone's going to suffer. And I think a lot of the time people think that it's not always just done on week, because if you've got all the popular players and everyone else has got the popular players and you both play them, yeah, it doesn't matter if you get 80 points. It's a good week for everyone. So if you've got Pogba and you've captained him, or Salah and you've captained him, and they're all playing, and most of the FPL players and managers have those players too, you're not making up the difference, because if you score highly, they score highly. So this could be a really good week for you to make up the difference, because there's going to be a ton of players out there, either casual players or people that just don't have the chips to play, or just sort of relied on their 7 or 8 players that are going to play. So I was stupid enough to use my free hit earlier on in the season, because I just blanked on blank game weeks basically, and I really messed up. I completely forgot really what free hit was for this season. So for me personally, my #1 choice would have been to free hit for this week. Completely change your squad for 1 week only, and then get back those City and United players that you probably already have that aren't going to play in this week, and they'll double up. But the choice that I'm looking at facing now, so you can see I've already played my free hit. I played it stupidly really early into the season when I just didn't have my head around things. And I will hopefully be playing 10 players. I'd be surprised if I didn't. I've made 2 transfers. Yedlin has come in for Johnny, because I said I was getting rid of Wolves after that horrible situation I had with especially with Johnny. He played, but he never really got anything for me. So Yedlin will come in as my sort of third or fourth choice defender. And that's for a few games. Newcastle got some good fixtures, but they're playing, so that's why he's coming to the side. And Barnes has come in for a week for Rashford. Now, I was able to sell Rashford because I'll only lose 0.1 million. So, fine. Next week, Barnes will go back out. Rashford will come back in because I've still got a couple of 100,000, 0.2 or 0.3 extra. So I can bring Rashford in. That's not a problem. And again, Barnes himself has been in pretty decent form. I mentioned this before. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals in 7 games, and he's got a home time against Leicester. They have been conceding goals. So if you're going to look at the fixtures and where you're going to get results from this week, it's not a lot. You can, if you've got 3 Liverpool players, which you probably have, that's great. They're going to play. You've got 3 Chelsea players, then that's great. But every other fixture here is open, in my opinion. Anyone, you could then argue that West Ham, but you probably don't have 3 West Ham assets. So when I say game plan number 1 would be to free hit, you would probably have 3 West Ham players. You're probably going to have 3 Liverpool and 3 Chelsea. And that gets you 9. And then you got to kind of gamble on the Bournemouth, Newcastle, Burnley, Leicester. So in terms of people to recommend this week, it's going to be really tough, or especially who to avoid, because there's just not enough fixtures to go around to really be avoiding anyone. But the second game plan, the game plan that I'm thinking of doing, is perhaps triple captaining Mo Salah. Now, people might be thinking 2 things. 1, why? Wait for a double game week, especially when City did so well in that last double game week before. And I think it was Laporte was the highest scorer for that. But the thing is, you've got to risk that. And I do understand that they'll play 2 games in 1. But if they blank twice, that's fine. But what I was talking about earlier is I want to maybe use this week as a catch-up week. Now, people are thinking of, well, we'll do Mo Salah when he's at home to Huddersfield right towards the end of the season if the title challenging. But the thing is, that's ifs and buts. Game week 36, they might have already lost the title. They might have secured second place and they're fighting in the Champions League, and they'll rest Mo Salah for a home game, dead rubber match against Huddersfield. I know for a fact that Liverpool still need to win this game because they're in the title hunt now. And they want to catch up on City, who don't play. So I believe that Mo Salah will definitely play away from home against one of the clumsiest, leakiest defences in the league. If I would choose, I would have chosen the Huddersfield game. But the fact that I'd have to wait till game week, I think game week 36 is when they play Huddersfield. But I can do it now to catch up. Because I know a lot of people are going to do it back then. But the idea is this week is going to have a lot of people with 9 players or fewer playing in this game week. And I know some will have Salah, but they probably won't triple captain him. So if I can have 10 or 11 players playing and Mo Salah, or maybe Mane, because Mane's been in better form at the moment, then not only am I going to outscore people because I've got 10 or 11 players and they're only playing about 8, but I can also haul and get even more points and make up the difference that I'm falling behind. I've gone from 200,000 to 500,000 to 600,000. I think it was 1.2 million last week. Now I'm 877,000. Sorry, 890, so almost 900k. I can use this to really jump up back up to the 6 and then just fight for the rest of the season. And maybe not many people have got that many triple captains left. So my second plan would be to triple captain a Liverpool player away to Fulham against, like I said before, the leakiest defense. So for me, the 2 plans that I would do, first one would be just free hit, because again, 3 Liverpool, 3 Chelsea, 3 West Ham, and then mix and match the rest. The second option would be to triple captain, if you've still got it. If you don't, then don't take too many hits, because like I said before, lots of people are going to suffer. It's not just going to be you. So my 3 options for the plan for Game Week 31 would be either A, use your free hit if you still got it. they'll come in for a week and then they'll go out. So triple up on Liverpool, triple up on Chelsea, triple up on West Ham, and mix and match the rest. Then the second option would be triple captain, which is one I might be leaning towards to make up the difference. If you've got a Liverpool player, then I'd be looking at triple captain them. I would still avoid Chelsea. They're too much, they're too unreliable. You don't know who's going to haul. I would personally avoid triple captain that. The only option really for me would be a Liverpool player. And the third one would to be do nothing. Basically, just grin and bear it. If you've got 7 or 8 players, a lot of other people are going to be in the same boat as you. You're just going to have a terrible game week. Maybe you'll get lucky and one of your 7 or 8 players are going to haul. I just definitely wouldn't take a big hit like a -8 or above, just because, remember, they'll come into the side and you want to keep them. If you're going to bring in like a Liverpool player or a Leicester player or a Bournemouth player that's going to stay in your squad for like the rest of the season, then it might be worth it. But don't spend -8 or -12 or whatever just to bring someone in for 1 week and then ship them out for the double game week for someone else, because you're just going to throw points away there. So that'll be my 3 options for what I would suggest to do for game week 31. Of course, there's lots of other options. Everyone plays this differently, but just for me personally, the triple captain looks tasty for me, because the ones that I would put the triple captain on would be a Liverpool player anyway. They don't have any double game weeks for this season, and it feels like this could be the week where I could catch up. I'm even debating in the future of getting rid of Hazard and bringing in Sterling. I could triple captain Sterling, but I've already said I do not feel comfortable at all with any Manchester City player, because they could get dropped at any moment. So I'm personally leaning towards the triple captain Mo Salah this week to make up the difference, because that's the idea of this. I'm trying to catch up people, and if I can catch them up, yeah, they might have a triple captain, but maybe they don't. But that's the risk that we have to take. So that's going to be my plan for game week 31. Let me know your game plan in the in the comments below, and we're just going to have a look at last week's review for the predictions. And to be honest, it was a particularly good one. I only got 3 out of 9. We'll start big. First, Alonso was right. He didn't play. He's been dropped again. Emerson played. I think he's definitely in the top 3 most expensive defenders on fantasy football. You can't afford to have that sat on your bench. He is I think it's the 3rd most expensive defender. 6.4 million. You can't have that sat on your bench. Not when it's unreliable, you don't know going to play. So for me, he's got to go, and he didn't play again. Wolves, they did get 1-1. Jota got the assist. Jimenez got the goal. But again, I still stick by the idea of Wolves are not in my side anymore. They let me down, but that's fine. But I did predict that they were going to do something good against top sides. But my point of Wolves behind me is for future fixtures. For the rest of the season, it's not looking good. And they're going to have quite a few doubles and blanks. So it's going to be kind of in and out of your squad quite often. And then Richarlison got an X because he wasn't dropped. He came back into the side. And even though Everton lost and they got turned over away to Newcastle, Richarlison got a goal and Dine got an assist as well. So 2 heroes and villains of FPL this season, Deeney and Richarlison, back on the score sheet for FPL there, but they did still lose again. Son let me down, but Spurs let everyone down. I was thinking of going for Harry Kane for this one. I thought I'd go outside and go for Son. Kane got a goal, but in another really, really disappointing display. In terms of teams as a whole that have disappointed in FPL so far this season, I stand by Tottenham being that disappointment. Definitely defensively, they've not kept anywhere near as clean sheets or looked as strong at the back as they have been in recent seasons. And apart from Son having a phenomenal run, and Kane getting what Kane should get for the value he is inside FPL, Tottenham have been, considering they're a top 6 side, probably worse than Chelsea, because Chelsea have still had a few players that have hauled quite a bit, but Chelsea are kind of getting around what you expect them to get, but Tottenham have been more disappointing this season, especially in the last 5 to 10 games. Anderson brought off West Ham, another disappointing, quite shocking result, getting turned over away to Cardiff, and Anderson got subbed for Arnautovic at half-time, which is quite surprising, but he's not been holding for a while. I did feel like it was going to be that game against Cardiff, but if there's a Premier League team that would go to Cardiff and kind of not really show up, West Ham would probably be that side for me. And then finally, Mo Salah, my captain, he got an assist, but again, he's he's getting outshone by recently Mane and Firmino. He's not looking too good. He's not really looking like he's worth 13.3 million at the moment. This 5 point was the first time he's got anything since game week 26. So it's not looking good. That's why I'm a little bit iffy about the triple captain. Not because I don't think he'll play, but because who should I choose? Should I choose Mane or Salah? Because Mane's been in great form, but Mane's a little bit like Marmite. It feels like, you know, he's going to win some or lose some. But I do believe that Salah would at least get an assist in that game. So I am leaning towards Salah. And then finally, another quite surprising result. Palace, a team that have been pulling results, great results in the last few weeks, got turned over at home by Brighton, and Batshuayi did not get anything in that. King was in a very easy, cruising, convincing win for Bournemouth away at Huddersfield, 2-0, but unfortunately King wasn't involved in any of the goals. And Yuri Tielemans, to finish off here, he got gifted a goal by Jamie Vardy. He did seem very grateful after that, actually, and said thank you a lot to Jamie Vardy, who unselfishly gave him that opportunity. And Vardy has been doing for 3 weeks, I think, or 4 weeks he's been in my side now, and he's scored every week and got an assist. So he got 2 goals and an assist in that win, 3-1 at home to Fulham. So prediction wise, it was weird. I'm trying to get hand in hand at the moment. It's either I have terrible FPL weeks and great predictions, or terrible predictions and great FPL weeks. So I'm hoping to combine it this week by looking at this week's predictions. And the play to avoid part I mentioned earlier, it's really difficult to avoid anyone because there's just not enough fixtures to really avoid anyone that isn't obvious. I don't have to sit here and tell you, okay, don't really choose any Fulham players because they're playing against Liverpool. I think that's pretty obvious, but I'm not going to say avoid really any Everton players at home to Chelsea because anything can happen there. West Ham, I'm not going to say, okay, avoid Huddersfield players because they should lose to West Ham, and I can't really say, yeah, back Huddersfield at West Ham. Burnley, Leicester, that has 0-0 or 1-1 written all over it for me personally. But again, I don't have anyone in those two sides where I'm like, oh, that's a weakness. Definitely don't back that person. And that's the same for Bournemouth, Newcastle. I could see it being 3-2. I could see it being 2-1. For either way, Bournemouth are the favourites. Wilson's back is looking good. But Rondon's been in good form as well. So there's not really anyone that I would any player I would really avoid this week because there's just too few fixtures and not enough not obvious players to avoid. But the thing I am saying avoid, when I was talking about chips and hits and stuff earlier, avoid your wild card. There's no point in wild card in this week to change. Even if you've not got a free hit, just grin and bear it. There's no point in wild card in this week because the players that you're going to bring in, you don't want to keep in your side for a long time. If you wildcarding to bring in Liverpool and Chelsea players, fine. But just so you have a squad for 1 week, and yeah, you'll keep that squad, and they'll play almost every week. But it's going to be filled with players from Bournemouth, Newcastle, Burnley, Leicester, West Ham, Huddersfield, Fulham, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, and they're just not, as a whole, great FPL sides. You probably already have Liverpool players. You might have the odd Chelsea players. So you take those two teams out. The rest of them are just full of okay players. You know, so, and then if you want to get your Liverpool, your Man United and your Man City assets back in, or your Spurs assets back in, you're going to have to change it all out again. So the thing I've seen people mention this, I definitely would avoid a wild card for this game week. And then for the second point I'm going to make, and I made it earlier, too many hits and too few players. Just try your best to field as many as you can with a decent quality. But if you've got a top player that's not playing, but remember how much you paid for them and how much it's going to cost you to bring them back. So when I told you that I took out Rashford for 1 week, that's fine because I know I paid, I think it was 7.5 and his value's not gone up that much and now he's 7.6. So I can afford to buy him back for an extra 0.1. But I can't do that with Pogba. I've seen Pogba up there on the transfers out. And that might be because he's playing deeper, but, you know, Matic and that is coming back. He is going to come back to form. Maybe it's just as well getting added to because United got beat by Arsenal. But if you've bought Pogba, so I could sell him now for 8.4, but I bought him for 7.9. You got to buy him back for 9. You're going to lose. I would, if I sold Pogba, I'd lose over $1 million, which is a crazy throwaway there for me. So I'm definitely not going to do that. So don't throw away players. Don't throw away too many hits. Everyone's going to suffer this week. So just sort of maybe grin and bear it, or use one of your chips if you've still got any left. Place a big obvious choice there, Liverpool. Any Liverpool player that you think is going to play is probably going to do at least a clean sheet bonus. If not, maybe it could be like the Palace situation a few years ago. Maybe Liverpool's going to fail. But when you're looking at these fixtures and how tasty they are, you're looking at West Ham at home to Huddersfield, and you are looking at Liverpool away at Fulham. And perhaps you're even looking at Bournemouth, Newcastle for a few points. They're all, points could be anywhere this week, but Liverpool would be the #1 destination for where you think points are coming from. Anderson, I think he's going to come back, and I can't say Arnautovic yet because I don't know if he's going to play. Hernandez might get dropped after that horrific dive that he attempted, but for me, Felipe Anderson, Huddersfield can't deal with pace. They can't deal with people going in behind him, and that is exactly what Felipe Anderson does. So this could be a prime game where he gets back on form. And I'm going to also go for Callum Wilson back in the side, goal and assist against Huddersfield, and then they're going to go play at home to Newcastle, which could, again, they've got a few injuries. He could get in behind them. So I think Callum Wilson could be back with a bang and get another goal and get back to that form that he had earlier in the season. Players to risk, I've mentioned, I brought him into my side. Ashley Barnes, good form, good return in terms of goals and assists in the last sort of 6 to 8 game weeks. And he's got a home tie against Leicester, and Leicester concede goals. Yeah, they picked up the points again last week, but they do let the odd goal in. And if Burnley can go to Liverpool and score 2 goals, I'm pretty sure that they can put 1 or 2 past Leicester at home. And then I'm going to go for Rondon again, someone who is in pretty good form. Away to Bournemouth, they concede goals as well. They're not particularly strong at the back, and he's a big physical man, and I don't think Bournemouth often quite like those big physical players. So I think he could get something. And I'm going to go with Tielemans again. However, I am also looking at Harvey Barnes at Leicester. He is, I think it's 5.5 million. He's playing more, but the fact that a 5.5 million player who is getting the lowest he's played since he's come back is 45. That was the very first game. He's played 72 minutes out, then 90, 87, 84, 90, 65, 90. So he is playing. He is getting decent points. He's had a few assists, and he's only 5.5 million, so he might be a choice as well. But I'm going to go for Tielemans after he got his first goal in English football. So that's my video on my suggestions for the blank game week 31. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are going to do for game week 31. It is a tough one. We're all going to have to grin and bear it. Try and get as many players out there as you can. Don't take too many hits. Don't use your wild card, and maybe look at using your free hit. And if you've got one, triple captain. The triple captain one is an outsider chance that I'm personally thinking of putting on Salah or Mane. Let me know in the comments below if you think that's crazy. And as always, have a good one.